What is going on, guys? This is Daniel, and today I want to talk about the Spurs offense. While their offense isn't the passing frenzy that it was a few years back, they still had the fifth most efficient offense in the NBA this season. So today I want to dive into their terrific spacing and movement on offense because this is really an art in upon itself. So let's take a look at this aspect of their offense. Let's talk about their use of the pick and roll lift. So what the lift is Mills will use the pick and roll toward the middle, and we see Aldridge is rolling down the left side. And the lift is Bellinelli coming up from the corner to about foul line extended or a bit above on the wing. And this does one of two things. For one, it makes the job of Jamal Murray much harder. He has to tag Aldridge on the roll and recover out to Bellinelli in a short amount of time. And with the lift, we see that now the pass between Mills and Bellinelli is much shorter, making the job for Murray harder. And the other reason the lift is so important is because now the pass between Mills and Bellinelli is so much easier. If Bellinelli stayed in that corner, that would be a much more difficult pass. And on this play, Bellinelli attacks the closeout well and misses the floater. Let's watch this play one more time because I'm a big fan of what Bellinelli does here. Notice how before he even catches it, he reads that Murray is going to run him off the three-point line. So notice when he attacks this closeout, he doesn't stop or gather. He catches and dribbles all in one motion on the move, and this allows him to effectively get by Murray. Now, when watching the Spurs, what really stood out when they used the lift was how automatic it was. So here, for instance, we see that the lift is happening with Bertans coming to the foul line, and DeRozan is under a lot of pressure. He's not even looking to the weak side. But notice how he's able to spin in the air and fire it over to Bertans because he knows Bertans will be there, and it results in a decent look from three. Here's another good example of the lift and how everyone is on the same page. So it looks like Pirtle will roll down the middle when DeRozan uses the screen toward the left side, and because of this, White would stay in the corner, of course. He wouldn't lift up as that would get in the way of DeRozan. But notice how when DeRozan comes off the screen, he immediately snakes the ball toward the middle. And everyone adapts. Pirtle rolls down the left side now, and that of course triggers White to lift toward the top, and here he catches it and drives in for the layup. So far, every instance we've looked at was when there is one weak side perimeter player. Well, on this play, we see Pirtle rolls down the middle, and we have two weak side perimeter players. So what happens? Is there a lift? Well, yes, there is. Gay will still lift up more toward the top, and we see the effect. This allows for good spacing between DeRozan and Gay, and also look at that great passing angle between White and Gay. And on this play, Gay gets an open three. But probably the most important part of this lift is that it adds floor balance. If there was a turnover or a quick missed shot, Gay getting on top would allow him to anchor their transition defense. Now, another aspect of the Spurs' excellent spacing is their pick and pop spacing, which differs from a typical pick and roll. Here, for instance, Mills goes toward the left, and typically Bellinelli would already be lifting toward the top, flying up there. But notice how Aldridge is setting the screen, and it looks like he may pick and pop. And in that case, Bellinelli would stay in that corner to allow Aldridge to pop into space. But on this particular play, the Nuggets actually switched the ball screen. Now Bellinelli does come up as the Spurs want to throw it to Bellinelli and then throw it to Aldridge on the block to take advantage of the mismatch. This is very good stuff, but Bellinelli just can't contain himself here as he forces up an ill-advised shot. Here's a more textbook example of their pick and pop spacing. So they'll set it up intentionally so there's two strong side players and only one weak side player in the far corner. This allows Aldridge to pop into space, where here he attacks the closeout and hits a floater. And this is what happens when the pick and pop spacing isn't ideal. So Aldridge will pop here, but notice how there are two weak side players, and in particular, the spacing between Aldridge on the pop and Derek White isn't very good. So now on the catch, Murray can stunt at Aldridge without much consequence because of the spacing. And who knows how much of an effect this really had here, but Aldridge turns down the jumper and he ends up turning it over. Also, I'm a fan of this pick and pop action they'll use with Aldridge. So he'll pop for a jumper. Notice how here there's only one weak side player in that corner. And on this play, Aldridge isn't open off of the first pop. But no worries, Aldridge can then immediately flow into a dribble handoff with Bellinelli, who's coming up from the corner. And it's 2 pick and pops back to back. Very tough to defend. Moving on. 2 Weakside Exchanges, which the Spurs have gotten some good looks off of in this series. And it's a pretty basic concept. So on the weak side, Gay and Bellinelli will switch spots, exchange on the weak side. And with both Nuggets defenders looking toward the ball, you can see how this can cause some miscommunication. And sure enough, 2 defenders go to Gay, and when the Spurs quickly reverse the ball, Bellinelli is open for 3. Here's another example of the exchange. White swings the ball and then he'll initiate an exchange with Bellinelli. And when the Nuggets miscommunicate once again, Bellinelli is left open and here he gets the 4-point play. The other thing exchanges can do is occupy help defenders, and this is an even more subtle effect. So on this play we have the weak side exchange, and the Nuggets do a good job. There isn't miscommunication. But notice how Morris doesn't help in the gap now, partly because he's guarding Bellinelli, but also because he just had to communicate the exchange and isn't in position to gap help. This allows Bertans to get through the gap and get the layup. Now, before we go any further, I want to let you know about Breakthrough basketball camps. Their basketball camps are designed to maximize skill while being fun, fast-paced, and challenging. I love how they keep a strict coach-to-player ratio and that they also emphasize character development. So visit the link in the description to find out if one of their 300 camps in the United States are perfect for you or your child. And use the code DANIEL for $30 off the camp. Lastly, I want to talk about how many of the Spurs off-ball players do a great job of finding the open passing window. Here, for example, DeRozan drives, and we see the lift with Gay coming toward the top, and on this play, Bellinelli will also lift a bit as he's creating a great passing angle between him and DeRozan. And here they're almost horizontal. If Bellinelli stayed in that corner, that pass would have been a diagonal one, and Beasley may have had a chance to deflect it. And this is a very similar play. DeRozan drives, and Bellinelli again finds that perfect passing angle, and DeRozan finds him for 3. This is a good example of finding the open spot on a middle drive. So White drives middle, and we notice that Murray is helping in the gap. This is very common with defense. So he's looking to prevent the drive, but while that's happening, Forbes will move along the top, creating space and making Murray pay for helping a bit, and here he gets the open 3. And in game 3, pretty much the exact same thing happened. Let's watch this play again, but this time let's focus on DeRozan. Notice how when Forbes moves along the top, he sees this and gets to the corner, allowing Forbes to have more space. Now this time, this is a rare occurrence of the Spurs not having good spacing. White drives middle, and we see Torrey Craig help in the gap, but DeRozan doesn't rotate along the top and make himself available for the pass. And because of that, White throws it out of bounds, expecting DeRozan to fill along the top. DeRozan needed to relocate more. But when I took a closer look, I realized this was also partly Forbes' fault. He is on the wing when he should be moving toward the corner like we saw DeRozan do on the last play, and this would have given DeRozan more space. And sure enough, after the turnover, we see Pop yelling at Forbes and telling him he should have gotten to that corner. Well, there you have it guys, and I hope that last play in particular showed just how important spacing is on the court, and for the most part, the Spurs do a great job. If you're looking to increase your basketball IQ as a player, coach, or hardcore fan, go to smarterbasketballplayer.com to learn about my new online program. Link in the description. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.